Hello, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural broadcast of the 215 show. The 215 show is really simple. It's two people, one question, 5 minutes. You're going to get everything from cooking, traveling, top tips, success tips, leadership, all sorts of advice, and it's only 5 minutes. I want to go ahead and introduce you to one of my very good friends, teammates, leaders, and the best looking Ariel I've ever seen in the entire world. So I will go ahead and introduce to you Leanne Cook Industrious. Quite apropos is her last name, let me tell you. So Leanne, we have 5 minutes, and what we're going to do is we are going to give you one question, and I am going to see how you go ahead and you handle that question. So our question for today, now guys, okay, squirrel, this is the first inaugural interview, so that should have given you a clue right there. Be gentle with me, okay? Thank you very much. Okay, Leanne Cook Industrious, I'm gonna ask you about leadership. How do you define it and then make it your own? What do you see as the definition of leadership? What do you see as a good quality that a leader has?
Oh, good question. Okay, so I may have you ask it again, just because, you know, squirrels sometimes. Thank you for having me on the show. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm first person. Woo! So fun. Thank you for the introduction. Got me all blushing over here. I'm like matching my hair. So I love that you picked leadership. You obviously know one of my heartstrings is leadership for sure. So thank you for asking me that question.
Sure.
As far as leadership, I feel like, okay, I'm a Capricorn. I don't know who's like into like astrology or whatever, but I feel like Capricorns are like very much into leadership.
Okay.
So I just like have always naturally been the leader. It's come natural. It's not something I really, and that sounds like I'm tooting my own horn. I'm not trying to at all. I just naturally stepped into that. And I don't know if it was me being a Capricorn. So I'm very hardworking. I like things to be done a certain way. So I'm like, oh, step out of the way. I got this. Or I just have very much of like a puzzle brain.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Like I like fitting things together. I like seeing how things are going to work out. So I just naturally stepped into that. Plus, I'm the only girl in my entire family. So I used to be like, boys, get out of the way. I've got this.
Some leadership there. Put your foot down.
Yeah. So I was very much like, back in the day, they used to call me the bossy one. And now I think that a lot of things that we hear when we're younger actually translate different. So if you have a little girl that she's too loud, that normally just means she has a very strong personality. And that's something you don't want to quiet. A girl that's being told she's too bossy is probably just really a leader, and you shouldn't try to mute that. So they tried to mute me, and I say they very like openly.
They did not work, folks.
It did not work, clearly. But you know, like even in the household, it was like, hey, you're kind of getting a little bossy there, or like, oh my gosh, Leanne's the bossy one. And then in school, it'd be the same thing, like, girl, calm down, you're getting a little bossy. It's just the leadership stepping in. But I think a couple things that I personally look for when I'm trying to identify leaders, I guess it could kind of be part of your question.
Okay.
Is I'm looking for the people who are going to be problem solvers.
Yeah.
So they're very solution oriented. Like, who are the people that when they see a problem, instead of sitting there and complaining about it, they're like, well, let's try this. Okay, that didn't work. Let's go try this. They're very solution oriented. They're not going to take too long. Like, maybe they'll take a second and complain. We all have our seconds, right?
Yes.
But like, who's going to step back and say like, okay, this didn't work. This didn't work. This is the actual problem. Let's go fix this. It's also people that will step up and cause action and like really get the ball rolling when nothing's happening. So if you ever notice, like in our team in particular, or I mean, in business and anything in life, if you notice that nothing's happening, like who's that one person that steps in and is like, hey guys, let's do this. Hey guys, let's do this.
Exactly.
So that's something that I think for leadership. And then On the flip side, I think once you've stepped into that leadership, it has to keep going. So I think that you have to continue being the problem solver. And you can never let it go to a point where you're just relying on other people to solve your problems. You still have to stay in front. You still have to lead by example. You still have to be the one that, even if, I think a good leader knows when to allow other people to problem solve. Like, I think this has always been one of my personal weaknesses, the Capricorn in me. I like to just fix the problem. I'm like, I want it done my way. I want it done the right way. Let me just go do this. And
yes.
Sometimes, even before this career choice, when I was back in my photography studio, and I was a manager for 6.5 years in the retail world, I did this a lot. I would problem solve because one, it was faster, and two, it meant it got done right the first time. But it didn't allow other people to step into their power. So one thing that I think a lot of leaders miss is, once they step into that, are you also allowing room for the leaders underneath you to continue to grow with you? Or are you taking full control and that's actually going to make you get stuck? So having the power to know the answer or know ways that you would like to problem solve something, but shutting up for a second and saying, okay, Amber, what do you think we should do here? I think that that's one key component that a lot of people miss when they start talking leadership, because leadership is one thing, but then leadership development is what will take you to the next level. And a lot of people get stuck at being, I'm a leader, I'm a leader, I'm a leader. They don't know how, they don't really know how to continue to grow. And it's probably, they were shown how, like, they just naturally stepped in leadership, but they weren't shown how to lead at a higher level. So that's one place I think, if you're looking to be a leader and you're listening to this, that's one place that I would recommend that you continue to put some focus on, is how to empower the people that are behind you, trying to step into that same power. And also how you can continue to grow as a person. Like, are you still leading from the front? Are you still developing every single day? Because if not, you're not just stunting your growth, you're stunting the growth of the people following you. And I think that
definitely makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
Things for me to see as a leader is to realize that sometimes when I was stunting myself, I felt like I was holding myself back. And then once I finally took a step back, I'm like, I'm actually stunting their growth too. And that's when I kind of had to be like, this isn't acceptable anymore. Now it's time to grow.
That's a really good point.
I hope that answered your question.
It does. It did, absolutely. And it kind of made me think we're actually over our minutes, but 5 minutes goal. No, you don't talk. You already know this. The goal is 5 minutes, but I knew I wasn't going to make it. But it actually makes me think almost of a type of delegation. It would almost be like, and I've dealt with this with you before too, ask a question and you'll say, well, where do you think you can look for it? Or did you check A, B, and C? Instead of doing the job yourself and giving the answer, well, where do you think you can find that answer? Or where do you think you can go to look for that information? It would be you taking all of the responsibility of the job and doing it yourself and not allowing us to figure it out on our own. You're still there to answer questions. You're still there. Hey, what do you think I should do in this situation? How do you think I can answer this conversation stopper? But, go here to look for this, or where do you think I can look for this? Have you tried Google? I did that once and you were like, did you look at Google? I was like, no, so instead of just kind of hand feeding us, it's kind of teaching us, give a man a fish kind of thing. So I kind of think of it that way. So I appreciate you kind of like opening your brain and this is going to be like a 10-minute thing. And I'm like, you know what? People are going to stick around if it's good. So that's okay. They will forgive me because this is the first one. Thank you, people.
Sorry, guys. That was my fault. I'm a little mouthy.
We were trying to figure out the whole Zoom thing. And I was like, where's the timer and the music? And it has to be perfect. And, and Squirrel, I like to talk. So thank you so much for joining us on our first one. I wrote down 3 pages of all these questions, and I tried to pick an easy one, but one that would give us a wealth of information, because you have that kind of brain where you can just like not know a question and just start to like speak on it. And
go over 5 minutes. You picked a good one.
Who's gonna hate Ariel? I mean, So thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. We are definitely going to invite you back again with different topics and questions and things like that. Like I said, it's gonna cover a whole plethora, if you will, type of style questions and things like that. So I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much for opening your brain, spending the afternoon with us. And I definitely hope that you'll join us again.
Of course. Thank you.
Bye.